in my next flat here, I'm going heavy on the basils this year. And I actually had a comment in another video that recommended cinnamon basil and lime basil. So I might be running out to my local nursery to get some of those as well. Mrs. Burns lemon basil. Plant 1/4 inch deep. This likes moderately rich, moist soil and full sun. It is not drought tolerant. 8 to 30 inches depending on the variety. Okay, harvesting. Begin light harvesting after plants have become established. It is best done in the early morning when the temperature is cooler and the leaves are less likely to wilt. Full harvest should be done just before plants start to flower. Cut the entire plant 4 to 6 inches above the ground to promote a second growth. Leaves are easily bruised when picking, so handle carefully. I think in a previous video I said I kind of always ignored my vegetables and herbs and stuff like that. This year that's not what we're gonna do. Next up is Aromatto Basil. 1/4 inch deep, 5 to 10 days for germination. This variety is the same as the last variety where it likes full sun, but it likes to have some moist soil, and it is not drought tolerant. I think it's actually our Arimato OG. Kind of funny. Next up is purple basil, amethyst improved, 1/4 inch deep, moderately rich, moist soil and full sun, not drought tolerant. I mean, we're probably going to run into that with all the basils, but just need to be sure. We have another purple basil, and this is purple Petra from Botanical Interests. Full sun to part shade. Your tomato and pasta dishes will look and taste even sweeter with this delicious basil, perfect for pesto and color in salads, striking in the flower garden or in a bouquet. Yeah. Okay, we are going the 1/4 inch deep. The recommended sowing is to start inside early, and yeah, okay, a mild sweet taste that is perfect for those who love basil's flavor but shy away from too much herbal spiciness. It's excellent in a variety of dishes including pesto, pasta, and salads. Makes a lovely pink tinged vinegar or oil. Grow it as a companion plant for your tomatoes or in other areas of the garden as an ornamental. Try pairing it with yellow marigolds for vibrant contrast. Oh, I could do that because I do have some, well, I don't know if they're yellow. I'll have to double check, but on your color wheel, purple and yellow are complements of each other. Next up, we have Genovese Basil. So this is the standard basil. And I think I've been growing the wrong thing for a couple years because I just had one packet of basil and I thought it was Genovese. I think it might have been licorice because I could taste like way too much licorice, unless that's just the characteristic of Genovese basil and it's just because I don't like licorice, it's sticking out to me a lot, but we'll see. Okay, Genovese basil, 1/4 inch deep. Okay, everything is the same as before. Okay, then we have dark opal basil from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. This is a striking violet basil for unusual garnishes or for adding color to salads and flavored vinegars. Approximately 20% green or purple green variegated leaves. Classic basil flavor. I'll be interested to know how this dark opal basil compares to the Petra, the purple Petra basil, and how that compares to the Amethyst improved and the Arimato OG, because I think these are all purple basil. So it'll be interesting to see the differences amongst those. And then last but not least, I've been looking for this one for a while. Not looking for it, but trying not to forget to get it. So this is sweet Thai basil. This one is, you'll imagine yourself in Thailand with this sweet, spicy basil, hints of anise and clove accent, Asian cuisine, a fragrant ornamental, this basil is Thai basil. Thai basil is a popular herb in Southeast Asian cuisine is a flavorful garnish served with Vietnamese pho. It holds its flavor and texture better after cooking than any other basil varieties, and as a kick to salads when sliced and eaten fresh. Sweet Thai's dark purple flowers and intoxicating scent will make a beautiful addition to the flower garden and bouquets. This is a terrific container variety. You sow it 1/4 of an inch deep. Recommended to sow it inside. Okay, next up I am going to sow a native called purple coneflower, Echinacea. Most of you have probably heard of it. And it is a native, but it's not actually native here in specifically where I live in Northern Virginia. It is native just slightly west of us. So it's like a cousin. So I treat it as a native because it's just beautiful, and my American goldfinches love to eat the seed heads. The monarchs love the purple Echinacea. Just note though that a lot of people say that purple Echinacea is deer resistant. I don't find it to be deer resistant. I find it to be deer attracting. Purple coneflower seeds are a little bit on the bigger side, so we'll probably put them down like 1/2 inch. And their germination is like a code A, which for Prairie Moon Nursery means that it doesn't have any requirements to break its dormancy and to germinate. So these haven't been cold stratified, they haven't been scarified. I'm just opening the packet and I'm going to pop them into the seed flats. I'll put 3 seeds in each cell. Okay, in these final 2 6-cell seed trays, I am going to go back and fill those with the holy basil. Okay, so these last 2 6-cell seed flats are sowed with holy basil. So I'm going to go ahead and take this seed flat and I'm going to put it aside with the other one for when I am ready to cover all the seed flats with vermiculite. Next up, I am sowing not herbs, but 2 different types of onions. The first one is onion Cabernet, and the second one is a bunching onion called a scallion called white Lisbon. Okay, starting with the Cabernet, it says it takes 100 and 110 days. So we're gonna sow indoors so we can get a jump start on it. Beautifully colored rings are crisp on sandwiches and sweet cooked into a jam. You know, I've never done that before. Early harvest and up to a 6-month storage life. Okay, depending on how many seeds are in here, I might save some for the fall. Let's see, we are going to do 1/4 of an inch deep. So it looks like they want to do 2 seeds every hole, and it's a 10 to 12 weeks before your average last frost date, which, you know, is about now for me, but I could have probably done it even earlier. Okay, Cabernet's globe shape and burgundy skin make it a picturesque addition to your harvest. Enjoy the sweet flavor raw on salads or burgers, or cooked into a jam on toast or cheese. Bread 2 to 3 inches uniform shape. Bread for 2 to 3 inch uniform shape in early harvest. This onion will store for up to 6 months. Recipe for red onion jam inside the packet. And then now onto the scallion, the white Lisbon. Onion lovers can't resist the delicate stems and juicy sweet tops. Vigorous, reliable, and very easy to grow from seed. And we're gonna start very early. We're gonna plant 1/4 of an inch deep. So white Lisbon is a green or spring onion and sometimes referred to as a scallion or bunching onion, a popular variety since the 1700s because it produces dependably in widely varying conditions. It thrives in a wide range of soils, is heat and cold tolerant, and can be sown successively throughout the season for the finest quality. Pencil thin onions, sow seeds densely, and do not thin seedlings. So it said to sow densely. So what I did is I just did holes in rows, and then I did throw a bunch of seeds in each one of those holes. I thought that would be easier for me to then transplant out into pot up if I had like specific bunches versus just sowing densely in rows. So that's why I did that. Okay. You know what? I probably want to go like that. And finally, I am sowing some Marsh St. John's wort. So this is a Hypericum Virginicum. If you've watched my videos or follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you know I love Hypericums, the native Hypericums. And I tried to sow this one last year. I didn't get much germination. I had a couple small plants, and I'm hoping, I transplanted them out into a wet part of my island garden, and I'm hoping that they come back this year. But there were only very few, and they were very small, so I'm not sure what survived. So this year I'm going to do this in a little bit more of a controlled environment. Hypericum seeds are typically tiny, and so I'm just going to surface sow them and then put vermiculite on top, which I got to do in all these, for all these. I figure if I do this in a much more controlled environment and I try to get them to germinate downstairs under lights, then I can prick out the ones that are looking healthy and pot them up and just be able to baby them a little bit more. I do know that the spotted St. John's wort and the shrubby St. John's wort are both seeds that don't need cold stratification, and it seems like Prairie Moon Nursery might be a little unsure about the specifics on sowing these seeds. It does say to surface sow, but after that it has a question mark. So I'm going to sow these as if I were sowing the spotted St. John's wort or the shrubby St. John's wort. So I'm just gonna sow them on top of the soil. I'm not gonna give them any scarification, cold stratification, nothing like that. I'm just going to put them in here, and then I'm going to grow them under the lights. Finally, I am going to add the vermiculite. It's actually the next day. I didn't get an opportunity to do this last night, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit over top here. I'm also going to add a little bit of cinnamon to the tops just to keep the fungus gnats down. I always seem to get a problem with fungus gnats, so I'm just going to double action this. So I'm just using some ground cinnamon, and then I'm going to cover with perlite. The other method I use to keep the fungus gnats down is to water with hydrogen peroxide in the water. I will find my recipe for that and I will put it in the description. So this vermiculite will not only keep moisture, retain moisture for the soil, but it will also keep algae and fungus gnats down. Now I don't know the science behind keeping the fungus gnats down. I've just heard that other places. Now these are good and done and ready for germination. I'm also going to do the same here on my onions and my Marsh St. John's wort. Okay, so that covers it for today. I was able to get my herbs sowed. I got some onions sowed, some Marsh St. John's wort for the native plant garden. What I didn't get done was I did not get the Bishop's Children dahlias sowed. I'll do those tomorrow or the next day, as well as I have a flat of snapdragons that need to get done pretty quickly too. So hopefully I'll get to those in the next day or so. And after that, I'm going to get back to winter sowing my native plants. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for joining me today while I was sowing my herbs And I really appreciate you taking your time to watch my video. And if this content appeals to you, please consider liking or subscribing or sharing with your gardening friends. Thank you so much, and I will see you again next time.